Okay.
Makeup.
Here we go. Hi, Mel. How you going?
Hi, Mandy. Hello, Nettles.
Hello, Melissa. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our next interview. Today, we're going to actually interview Melissa Laing from Melissa Laing Pilates Studio in Adelaide, who is my sister, who is Natalia's sister and sister-in-law. And so it's very exciting for us to be doing this today. So let's start, Mel. Why don't you just tell people a little about who you are and what you do?
So I'm Melissa Laing, and I've been teaching Pilates for 25 years. And what do? I do pretty much all the same stuff that Nat does. We obviously, you guys know, we worked together for a long time. So, and at the moment I do a lot of cleaning, these days. One might say I'm a cleaner now.
Well, we know that you've celebrated your 25th anniversary in business. That's a huge milestone. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How does it feel to reach such a milestone, and especially for someone who is really a pioneer in the Pilates industry in Australia? I know that you started the first Pilates studio in Adelaide, where we come from. So it's a great...
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It was quite a reflective year, actually. It came around very quickly, and probably way too quickly. But I ummed and ahed whether I would celebrate it, and then I knew that I'd missed other milestones and thought, no, I've got to celebrate this. No one in Australia really sings your praises. You know, it doesn't matter how hard you work. You don't get that kind of accolation. You only get that kind of accolation if you sort of travel and go overseas and come, you get recognized when you're not from that particular country. It was wonderful in that I put on a big party, and Nat was able to come back, and lots of people that I had worked with over the years were really excited about it. And you seem to have these clients. You have these clients for this decade, and this experience happened, and that was the era that I worked with you guys. And then the next era came along, and a whole lot of other stuff happened in that decade. And then again, the last 5 years have come along, and that's been interesting. And in amongst that, I've had a child, and how that impacts business as well. And, you know, the different teachers that I've had along the way, and the different things I've had to learn. You know, when I started, we had a phone and a paper diary, and that was it. And then we didn't need admin. We did all our own admin. And then suddenly we've got emails and computers and, you know, things like that. So now you need admin. So it's been an interesting journey to watch how business has changed. And like you said, Mandy, you know, when I started, it was just me, and I literally had the market to myself for 10 years. And it's like I went and had a child, and it's like as I came up for air, I suddenly realized that Pilates had kind of exploded in a way that, you know, there's Pilates on every street corner in Adelaide now. And it's just an entirely different industry to how we started. Good and bad.
Yeah.
Good and bad.
Interesting how that's happened. And do you think that the industry now is, I mean, it's obviously much more competitive, but, you know, what do you think is different about it now from when you started?
Look, when I did my training, it was about being an apprentice. You were chosen. You weren't just naturally given the opportunity to go and become a Pilates practitioner. So I contacted Alan Herdman, who founded Pilates in England, and put forward my interest. And, you know, I didn't know that he would take me on. I had to travel to London, and he had to meet me in person before he would agree to take me on. So it just wasn't a given. And so, you know, the practice was handed down, whereas today anyone and everyone has the opportunity to learn Pilates. And I think there's some good and bad in that as well, you know.
In that, because it's one of the things that I often, you know, when I'm speaking to people about you and I'm telling them what that means to have been 25 years in an industry and to have been inducted into it the way that you were, it's really because, I mean, in Spain, you can go and do a weekend course and call yourself a Pilates instructor. I mean,
that's the disturbing part, isn't it? It's that our clients are none the wiser, and they don't really fully appreciate that some of us are very dedicated practitioners that have not gypped the system, so to speak, and have a passion in the industry, and therefore teach from our hearts with it, as opposed to someone that's, you know, it's the difference. There's teachers that teach with a passion, and there's people that have it as a hobby.
Yeah, but
and or business model.
Anyone that's been in your hands knows the difference between you and another teacher that's not trained in the same way.
Yeah, I agree with that. So
I'd say the same for you, Nat.
Thank you, Millie.
Oh, love that, girls. So when you went to London, you were a dancer at that time, weren't you? You studied dance.
Yeah, well, it was funny, and I'm not even sure that Nat knows this story, but you know, I was dancing, and at the end of my dance career, it's kind of like I never had my, what do they call it when you have a year off after school? Your sabbatical. Yeah. So my sabbatical was after I finished my dance degree. I wanted a year to just figure out what I wanted to do, and I always knew I wanted to go to England, and so that was my big move out of home. And I knew that I wouldn't have the courage that I needed to just go to London and just audition and that's it. I knew I needed to have some sort of backup plan, and so I just chose to study Pilates while I was there. But it was just prior to that, I remember I was working as a room service waitress at the Hyatt in Adelaide. And I used to go into the train station there, and I remember sitting down with my pad. I'm big for making lists, and if anyone knows Mandy, she's also big for making lists. So Mandy and I have that in common. And I made a list of all the things I wanted to achieve as a human being. At that point in my life, I would have been about 18 or 19, somewhere early 20s. Anyway, and one of them was I wanted to pioneer something. I had no idea what that was. And you know, I also wanted to be a professional dancer.
Wow, Mel.
I think, and I really wish I could find that list, you know. But anyway, as the story goes, law of attraction, whatever it was, there was no objection to pioneering anything. But when it came to dancing, of course, there was always that fear that I might not get it, and I might. So I don't know, the pioneering thing came really easily. Like, you know, while I was over in London and I was practicing the technique, I just suddenly started visualizing myself in Adelaide, starting a studio, and it really popped into my head. I didn't really think about it. I didn't really question it. I had no business training whatsoever. I never even worked for a company to even understand what management or any of those things were, or employees, nothing. So when I came back and started the business, I was a complete and utter novice. So to be standing after 25 years, is, you know, I have to do this because, you know, no one else is going to do it. But yeah, it was accidental. It was all accidental.
Well, you did well. It was
not really accidental because
you
you just said you wanted to pioneer something.
Yeah,
and then you went and studied.
You brought it to yourself,
and you brought it
really.
you brought it to our city.
Yeah, which was amazing.
Yeah,
yeah, and I mean,
and in many ways to Australia.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, there was only 5 of us when I started in Australia, so that's quite phenomenal, really, isn't it? It's a hard concept to get my head around. There was only, you know, a very few of us in. Yeah.
Well,
anyway.
Well, when we came to Barcelona, there was only 6 studios as well. So that was.
I thought you guys were also one of the first. I know that you were right there at the very beginning.
There were 6.
Because I remember when we ran the course for a period of time there, and there were no courses running at that time. We almost could have pioneered that.
Yeah, no, it's true. We were the 6th studio, which is really interesting. And then it just went crazy because it got into the gyms, and the gyms just completely bastardized it. And that was our fight to actually keep that going. But you know, it's just the way it's gone. You know, we in lots of ways though, it educated the consumer,
the masses. the masses.
They actually didn't know what Pilates was before that. So in lots of ways, it did do something good, you know. So I suppose there's always the flip side. You always have to look at it in both ways.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And so tell us about Alan Herdman. Tell us, I mean, people don't really understand, because of this time that's gone past, people don't understand the whole idea about the disciples of Joseph Pilates. And like when I started doing Pilates with you, because that's how we met.
And how long ago did you go to Melissa Laing Pilates?
It would have to be
she would have been in the first decade.
Yeah, it would have been 22. It would have been 22 years ago. We've been here 15 this year.
I started teaching.
We've been together 15 years.
I started teaching with you when I was 20, and I'm just about to turn 44.
So, you were 28 when we came, we're not 29 when we came here.
Yeah.
So it would have been, it would have been 22 years ago. So it would have been those first 5 years.
And it went like that, didn't it?
Yeah.
Not quite. I don't think it's gone.
Oh.
But like,
yeah.
you know, I know started that whole thing of like that like where you were as a disciple of Joseph Pilates really mattered. And you know, it's interesting. Tell us a little bit about that.
I don't think people understand that, actually. So like, you know, you had Joseph, and then you have all of his first generation teachers, and you know, interestingly enough, you know, if people wanted to know a tiny bit more about that, like on my website, I decided to run memberships a few years ago, and I chose to name the memberships after the first generation teachers. So there's Eve Gentry, and she was responsible for all of the, you know, because Joseph taught, often talk about this, and I talk about this when I ran my teacher training course too, but you know, the original exercises were quite hard and difficult, and very global in the muscles that they worked, even though you required a very strong core to do those things. And then what Eve did was she broke it down and made it simpler for people. So she was responsible for what teachers would now know as the modifications, or, you know, and as a dancer, when you're learning a piece of choreography, for example, you'll learn the sequence, and then you will change the sequence to be similar and recognizable, but from a different perspective. So you might do that same sequence on the floor, or that same sequence facing a different direction, or anyway, it's kind of like if Joseph, when he was the tree, the traditional exercises are the roots, then you've got the tree, and then you've got your branches, and then you've got your leaves. And Eve gave us the leaves. She gave us everything in a little bite-sized piece, so that anybody and everybody could perform. And then as you built up your leaves, you sort of worked your way back to the roots, so that by the end of, and this is what all teachers do nowadays, is when we get someone that's very injured, we'll take them through exercises, and we'll start at the leaf end and bring them back round. And as they get stronger and deeper into the understanding of the technique, they eventually get to learn the traditional exercises, which is what Joe taught. And you know, that's what you won't be getting in gyms. You also won't be getting the philosophies around what Joe taught, which is, you know, control, center, coordination. Now you're testing me because I haven't taught the course in a while. Flow, breath. There's one more C. Control, center, coordination.
Concentration.
There you go. And if all of those principles are within every exercise, what you're getting is a gift. Yeah, you're getting a real gift. And when the client gets all of those things happening, what's happening is they're training their brain to be right there in the moment. And by being in the moment, they're using their body as a prop to meditate, basically. And we all know, we don't have to say, you know, it's not Mystic Dolphin, the benefits of meditation, but nobody makes time for it, you know. And then Pilates came along, and bless his cotton socks, he tapped into so many different things, unbeknown to him, I think. But as I've trained in it, and as Natalie's trained in it, anybody who's a healer understands the importance of training the brain to be present. Because if we don't train the brain to be present, and the brain's allowed to go forward as we all are right now, fear what's coming, we all feel anxiety, and that's not good for us. And then if we have regrets about what happened, we get depressed, and that's not good for us. Either way, the brain can travel in those directions, but the body can't. So we go too far in the future, the body feels anxious. We go too far in the past, the body can feel depressed. So what Pilates does is it keeps us in the present moment. And now more than ever with this pandemic, we need to be doing our Pilates, because if we're not doing that, we're letting our brain rule our world, and our bodies are going to suffer for it.
No, I agree.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. When I, the last week when I've done Pilates, just, my own stuff that I need to do, it just grounds me back down again. And I just feel like I've got, it's that root system, that whole,
yeah.
I would say at the moment, it's the root chakra. We need to keep bringing it back to earth.
Absolutely. And we all feel ourselves wandering off.
And so Alan, that whole idea of then how the hierarchy worked was that you were telling us about how you use those initial disciples of Joe's as
I forgot to tell you the way back.
Yeah, that's okay.
So you've got Joe, then you've got his first lot of teachers. Then Alan, my teacher, got trained by one of those.
And so he would be second?
He would be considered second generation.
Okay.
And then because I got trained by him, I'm third generation. And then because Nat got trained by me, she's fourth generation, if that makes sense.
No, that's what I find really interesting. And when Nat and I came here, I said to her, this is something that's really important that you need.
Because I didn't understand that when I came here.
You need to embrace this. It's very special. What your sister and what your sister has and what she's given to you is very special, and we need to honor that, because I think it's really important. And that really helped Natalia when we first came here to, I suppose, have some confidence in what it is, the base and the foundation.
Because when I came here, I was without you, and I was always used to being with you, and so for me to do what I was going to do on my own, it was very much like, well, how am I going to do this without my sister?
Yeah,
that's exactly how I felt when I came back from London, and I had to figure it all out because there was no one to ask.
Yeah, no,
and we didn't have what we have now. We didn't have like Google. Exactly. Tell me about osteoporosis. Exactly. I had to look everything up in a book, and if I wanted to show someone, I had to show them on the book. This is that muscle, and this is where it's attached, and anyway.
Natalia still does it on the book.
I still, it's hard for me to change
that habit. And so, would you say that Pilates is your passion, Mel? Do you still feel like that after 25 years?
Look, I have a teacher that was with me, Jody. Her name is Jody Brown, and when she came to me as a client, and then she went to London, and I said, she said she was going off to study Pilates, and then she came back, and I said, look, if you come back, please come back and teach me. She's been working with me for 10 years. I'm so fortunate. We both got to celebrate 25 years, and then we went out to this very expensive place for lunch to celebrate her 10-year. And then the pandemic happened, and we were just like, wow. And God bless that I have this amazing staff member that's been with me for 10 years, because you don't hear of stuff like that anymore.
No. We got Brianna.
Hang on, you said something and I've lost my train of thought.
So do you still feel passionate? Do you still feel that Pilates is your passion?
Jody and I, that's it. Jody and I both agree that at 5 years, you question it. If you make it past 5 years as a teacher, then you get to 10 years. And if you make it past 10 years, then you get to 15 years. And at every 5 years, you really question it. And you have this love-hate relationship. It's like any relationship. You fall in and out of love with your Pilates practice. I feel like I landed my ass in butter when I became a Pilates practitioner. It is where I feel at home, and anytime I have life-altering experiences in my personal life, going into my studio, seeing my view, being with my clients, calms my soul. And I think Nat is exactly the same in that regard. You know, the people that we feel privileged enough to be able to work with and feel confident and self-assured by us as teachers and give us the privilege of looking after them is a beautiful gift.
Yeah.
And I know that Natalie understands that, because, you know, all the teachers that I chose to work with me over these years, except for maybe a small iota of teachers here, there and everywhere where I was, you know, maybe distracted from being a pregnant person or whatever, but nearly every single teacher I've ever had through my business has been handpicked because of their compassion, their kindness, their empathy, and their ability to hold space for people, which is an incredibly important thing as a teacher. I mean, we know when we're teaching, all of my teachers know this, you hold the space. The clients don't hold the space. You dictate the calm. If you get anxious and upset and full on, you know, it's like children or pets. They sense your strength or weakness. And so as a teacher, you must ground yourself when you're teaching. And because when you're grounded, you help them facilitate their own grounding.
Absolutely. I have, it's 100%.
It's a very interesting thing, actually, because I have to say, no matter what I've gone through in my life and no matter what emotions I've been going through, and you know, sometimes I might be incredibly upset before I walk into a class. As soon as you walk in, you take that role on, and it's like it completely, you ground yourself as well, because it's your job to be in control.
Yeah. And do you think that would...
There's an assurity in teaching Pilates, you know, there's systems in place, you know, breath, center, action, you know, and it's sequenced, and it's like folding towels. Apparently that's incredibly calming, and I don't know, I remember reading something about it and go, oh well, good for me, I get to fold towels all the time.
Well, the three of us, I think we've folded a lot of towels.
You know, and the thing is, we still fold towels, and you still fold towels. And the thing is, our mother was a hairdresser, and one of our...
We've been folding towels forever.
I would get home from school, and there'd be like out the backyard next to the clothesline, Mum would leave a basket filled with all the wet hairdressing towels, and our job was to hang those towels up and then to take those towels down and fold them up. So it's like we've been folding.
Yep, and I'm still doing it.
Exactly.
Still doing it.
And have you got...
I still fold the same way too.
Yeah. I'm really fussy about how the towels are folded, and also the color coordination of, because we've got different colors, and I can't stand it when people put them in all mixed up.
I mix them up.
It drives me crazy. So Mel, what was one of your fondest memories over the past 25 years? Is there anything that
in Pilates?
Yeah.
The funny stuff. The funny stuff that we did. Natalie and I used to do funny stuff. I was thinking about this because I was privy to this one question, and I was thinking, and you also wanted to ask me something about Nat that they wouldn't know.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is
Nat and I used to do funny stuff with our clients. Like, God forbid we got too serious. That would just be dreadful. So do you remember Terry Lee?
Yes.
Okay, so one of our clients, he was due to celebrate his 59th birthday, and he was a bit of a smart cookie and clever, lovely man. And we had 4 blokes. There's lots of funny stories, but on this one particular occasion, we decided that we were going to surprise Terry. We were going to throw him a surprise 59th. We weren't going to wait till his 60th. We were going to get him on his 59th birthday.
Boys in this class, there's only men.
Oh, but we did have those other girls in the class just to distract him for that one day. Anyway, we and the dream team, there's another story about those guys as well. We and the dream team decided that we would get tutus, and we waited, and Terry was in the studio, and he's walked in and he's seen Gary, and Gary, in line with his beautiful tutu, had put himself in a top and bottom. So it looked like a onesie because it was green and purple striped all the way through, thermal underwear to go with his purple tutu, unbeknown to Terry. And Terry's walked in, he's looked at you and me, and he's like, hey, what's with Gary and his outfit today? And Gary's on the reformer doing his Superman, and he's all in onesies, green and purple thermal underwear. Brenton's there and Neil. And then we're like, you and I are suddenly like, come on, Brenton, come on, Neil, come on, Gary, let's go out. And then we played I'm a Very Stylish Girl and all came back in our tutus to celebrate his birthday party. And the boys were all like, no, I won't be wearing tutus. Remember, we couldn't get them out of it. And so in the end, we had to go across this road to coffee with the boys in their tutus, crossing the main roads so that they could keep their tutus on. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do, Melissa. It's a very hard one.
Yeah.
I know Nat has really fond.
I've still got the photos, so I can send a couple through and you can put them on your Facebook page.
That's good.
It'll be funny.
That would be lovely, actually. We would love to do that. It's she has. I know that Nat has done some pretty crazy stuff to you, as a boss. You know, making.
She was a dreadful employee. Dreadful. I do remember another time. Now this is funny. You can imagine how difficult it was. Like I loved my sister and loved my sister working with me. But there were times where I had to be her boss. And so I remember saying to her one time when she got a written warning, right now I've got 2 hats. This is me putting on my sister hat. I still love you. And we'll talk about this later. Now, this is me putting on my boss hat. You're getting a written warning. Don't ever do that again.
I wouldn't made everyone do Pilates in the dark, would it?
Oh, when she just does this at the end of their session with the volume control. It's time to go, everyone. Pack up, last exercise. You're out of here.
I remember I had this.
She's so strict with people now. She's very strict now.
She's such a different person. I know. She's very different. Anyway.
Well, it's really beautiful. But Mel, I know this is bringing it back to something more serious, but when I mean, obviously what's going on around the world is challenging everybody. And we know that you've had to close your studio too. So when did you close the doors at the moment?
I closed 2 weeks ago, and I closed on a Saturday. I think it's the 21st of March, Saturday, 21st of March. It's not a date you don't, 25 years, and then you shut your doors. You do remember the date. And then we were asked to close on the Tuesday. The Australian government shut us down Tuesday. Funnily enough, there's a few different businesses around Adelaide that were still shutting, but in the pros of shutting, and the police came.
Yeah.
So we preempted it, and we preempted it because of information that we were hearing from you guys. I prepared myself, and I remember being up at 3 o'clock in the morning and writing my letter of it's time to close. Couldn't sleep that night. Knew I needed to write it. Just wrote it, and yeah, my clients were quite grateful, to be honest. I think it was nice that I took the decision out of everyone's hands.
Yeah, I think that was our case as well in the end. I mean, we ended up having it had come much quicker than we thought it was going to come, but
yeah, same.
It was the same sort of thing for us as well. It wasn't responsible to stay teaching people.
Well, we were cleaning to the point that my fingerprints were literally gone at the end of the day. So no sooner did someone get off a piece of equipment, we were sterilizing everything and cleaning it.
Yeah.
I mean, for my OCD, I was loving how clean the studio was, but I wasn't teaching much.
Yeah, no, it's hard. It's very, very hard. And
yeah.
what do you think about what's happening now with all the online craziness and the frenzy? Do you think that we'll pass through this, or do you think the industry is completely changed forever? I know you don't have a crystal ball.
I have my own feelings about this. My heart has a feeling about it, and then my fear has a feeling about it. So my heart feels that the world was getting way too fast, And, you know, as a Pilates practitioner, I felt that I was giving people the opportunity to slow in my space, and I was encouraging the slow and the connectedness back to self. I feel like the world is needing to get connected back to self. I feel like the planet is asking us to slow down. Technology has just pushed us so fast that, you know, we don't connect like we used to. We don't have time to talk to people anymore, you know, and even talking to people. I mean, I often remember a funny ad that they had in Australia, and it was just when, you know how you can pay on your phones?
Yeah.
So, you know, they walk into a shop, and she's behind the counter, and the guy's just on his phone, and he just leans down and taps the EFTPOS machine, and the woman's left going, oh, so we're doing that now. You know, as if to go, we're not even going to acknowledge each other. That's what we're up to now. And I just, for me, I feel like Mother Earth has given us an opportunity. And as heartbreaking as it is, because it is affecting us all, and it is heartbreaking. It's bringing everyone to a standstill. There is a group of people that can work and a group of people that cannot work. And
it's a pretty hard job for them, because they're keeping us all going, and that's
and they're exposed to
the danger of it,
the danger. And then there's my industry and Nat's industry and your industry, Mandy, where the machine is trying to get us to get on.
We lost you, Mel. Are you there? Hello. That's a shame, isn't it? Are you there, Mel? Hello. Oh, that's a really disappointing ending to our interview, isn't it?
Why don't we turn the recording off, and
because that's the end, we won't be able to get it back. Technology, this is what Mel was talking about. It got us. I'm going to have to hang up because this isn't going to do anything for anybody. So let me just see if I can
pause it. Try pausing.
Well, unfortunately, hello? Are you there, Mel?
Hello.
Oh,
I'm here.
When you started bagging the technology.
Now we've lost your image. Oh, there you are. Let's do it this, Mel.
As soon as you went to the bagging of the technology.
Oh, I know. Big brother.
Exactly.
I can do this.
Yeah.
This is my new exercise. Just kidding.
No, I mean, I think that speaking about is really interesting for us as well, because Spain doesn't go as fast as Australia, and Australia, we know, is a bit, it's kind of taken after America. It's one of the reasons that we came here, is because I was over it. But I think...
So has Spain gone online? Because, you know, like within, it felt like minutes, everyone had moved to online.
I think...
I haven't got there yet.
Not everybody. You know, it's kind of not as frenzied as what we're seeing in Australia and in other parts of the world. No?
I mean, it definitely has. And everywhere you look, there's like, you know, classes. There is a lot online, but I have to say, Mandy and I, we've put certain things online, but putting the whole studio online and doing that is just too much at this point in time. We all need to take a breath.
It's also, I agree with what Mel's saying, and it's also not the people we are, you know, and I think you have to be true to yourself, and that's important as well.
I think I've just reached out to my clients. I mean, obviously we will be doing some Zoom classes. I mean, it can't, from where I sit and the way that we teach, it's challenging. We, you know, like, sure, I could run a class and make it $10 and invite everyone in the world to come and do the class, but I wouldn't be doing Pilates any justice if I did that. That's not how we teach. It's not what we're about. The intimacy is completely lacking, and the respect and responsibility for the differences in people's pathologies and bodies. I mean, so many times over the years, I've contemplated how, and we, you know, without putting anybody down, I've contemplated how people aren't getting sued more often. you know, because people's bodies can be so incredibly fragile. And it, you know, even for myself, that, you know, if I've had a slip of concentration in a class and forgotten someone's pathologies and asked them to do something that's contraindicated, you know, the repercussions of that can be quite serious.
Yeah, well, we work with
so I don't know, but Mike,
who are injured, so it's really important for us to care for them.
yeah.
And how that can be in a big group class, I just can't get my head around it either.
Yeah, I keep contemplating. I'm running two free classes on Monday, and it's not so much that it's because I intend to only run free classes. That's not what it's about. For me, it's about understanding the new medium with which we have to teach and seeing how I'm going to shape up. So I won't charge for those classes because I'm asking those clients to give me feedback and to workshop those experiences with me. But, you know, we had drinks online, which I'm encouraging you guys to do with your people as well. We had a Zoom 5 o'clock drink, and just to see how many of my clients could adapt to the technology, because like me, I'm not tech savvy. So they need to download Zoom, and then they need to figure out how to get online. And these things can be confronting for different age brackets. And, you know, it's fine for the younger generations. They've grown up with it. My daughter's doing iMovies. She'll be able to send you an iMovie of the latest dance flick she's done for you guys. It's quite hilarious. Yeah. But, you know, for us and our generations, you know, we're at the beginning of all of that, and it's moved so quickly. Like, hopefully in this time frame, we might even be able to get a head around some of it. But
yeah, I've been on a fast track.
Yeah.
Back to technology.
So. No, I was doing a Zoom class. I was doing a Zoom class yesterday. I'm like this, Mandy, what do I do now? Mandy, he's gone. Mandy, he's paused. Mandy. Because I just look at the screen and I'm just like,
I know.
Those things down there. No, I don't know what any of them mean. I know I should know what they mean, but I don't know what they mean.
I'll shoot you through some links. I just feel like this last 2 weeks has just been like cramming for my technology exam. All things.
I'm sure.
All things Zoom. I had to stop, Mandy. I don't know if you girls are like this, but I felt like I had for us it's the ATO, the Australian Taxation Office. I had that box open, and then I had homeschooling for my daughter open, and then I had, you know, my business, my staff, Zoom, Instagram, Facebook, and all the different the back end of Mind Body, which is what I use. And I was feeling like that. So every time I got like that, I'd have to go for a walk or do some Pilates or paint with my child. I mean, I've been teaching Ruby Italian and Spanish, and
oh, that's good. That's
yeah.
good. We've got other clients who do language, so we've been speaking to them yesterday and saying, come on, you need to get out there. Yeah, get into the Australian market. The Australian parents will love it. So, you know, let's see. Yeah. Well, Melissa, I have to tell you, it's been delightful speaking to you. It's been really, sorry about the poor at the end there, but it's been really amazing to hear your experience and what's happening for you, and also just, you know, the history of how we got to be where we are because of you as well. So we want to obviously send you our love, and thank you.
Right back at you, girls.
And share.
And thank you for.
No, you're welcome, and we hopefully we can do it again soon.
Yeah, no, I think it's nice to be communicating across the, you know, we might not be able to fly to see each other for a while. So exactly. All borders are locked down.
Exactly. Well, have a beautiful evening, and let's stay in touch, and we look forward to sharing some of your work with our clients as well. All right. Take care.
Yeah. Good luck, girls. Have fun.
Bye, honey.